Hey everybody, welcome back to God Elect. This is Courtney Jones and we're on part 4 on believing. And this series is entitled Guard Your Heart. And this is believing. So we left off talking about Abraham. And we left off talking about Abraham and how the trials of how Abraham was going on. You gotta realize Abraham is the father of faith. So we have to understand faith through Abraham. We gotta understand how can he get this title. Because one of the most important things Abraham had to learn is, as we've seen, Abraham been having trouble protecting the seed. He's been having trouble protecting the commandments of God. God gave him the seed. He's been having trouble holding on to it, protecting it. He's doing what you call, some days he's doing good, sometimes a circumstance happen and he's doing bad. So we're going to go into this. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 13, verse 8. Now remember what I told you. When you're trying to hold on to commandments of God, so what happens? God's showing you certain things. He's going to bless you for some of these things you're doing. Abraham is right now, God and made this land. He's rich now. Things are happening now. So you know how people are. Everything is good when people, everything get good when things going good. But it's something that's going to happen here that's already been happening. Because there's some people that don't want to follow the commandments of God. There's people that's around you that, you know what, you looking at as that's my brother, that's my nephew, that's my daughter, my son, whatever it may be. And this is why God say, listen, you're going to have to give all them up for me. Now, in all fairness, God never told Abraham to take Lot with him. He never told him to take Lot with him. He said, you get out of your land. So you get out of your daddy house. He never told him to bring Lot. So what did Abraham do? Abraham brought Lot because that's something he did. No one told him to do it. So you know what? It's going to be, you already know what's going to happen now. God has a path that's set for only Abraham. He has the path set for Abraham here. This is going to be you and your land. You get out. So Lot is there. Lot is there. He's going to want to build his own kingdom. He's going to want to do his own thing. So how can he stay with Abraham? Eventually, he's going to want to change things because he's not complete. He's not righteous. He's not righteous. And the Bible tell you later on, you hear the New Testament, they said, well, here Peter said that, the only person who was righteous was Lot. Lot wasn't righteous. Lot was only righteous through Abraham. That's the only thing he did. That's why his wife, even his wife, she got punished with the rest of them because her heart was there and Lot's heart was there too. He didn't want to go past it. He kept saying, well, let me go closer. See, he kept saying, let me go into that town. I can't live in the hills. Why? Because it's like, for instance, if somebody told me, they said, Courtney, leave the city and go to the country. I can't go out there to the country. They ain't got no internet connection. They ain't got no TV out there. I mean, where I'm going to get there? They ain't got no radio. What I'm going to do? See, Lot didn't want to go in them hills. Because ain't no town in them hills. How can I make any money? How can I get wine? How can I get this? How can I get that? He didn't want to he wanted to leave, but he wanted to make sure he still has some options. That's another story, but we're going to get into it a little bit. Now I want to show you something. Now God has a problem here because God never asked Lot to come here and Lot here. So why did God, now what's God showing Abraham, finna show Abraham? See, you have to minimize this is what happens when we want to do things in our own self. You see, when you want to do something your own self, you make a decision that you shouldn't have made. Because you think you're doing in the world, you think you're doing what's right. But you know nothing about the things of God. Now, that's like, look at Jesus. When Jesus said, listen, look at Jesus. When Jesus found the centurion had more faith than anyone in Israel. And Jesus could have said, man, come on, follow me. He could have, but God did not allow that. Even though he would have been what you would think better in faith or whatever it may have been, God would not allow that because that's a different path he had for him than he got for the disciples there. So therefore, God didn't allow it. Jesus didn't offer to bring them on like that. But what I'm getting at is that's how that happens. Like the man that had the demons in him and Jesus got the demons out. The man wanted to follow Jesus, die hard. The man that was blind, remember he came back. Jesus healed him. He said, I want to follow. He wanted to follow Jesus. Jesus told him, no, just go tell everybody what the Lord did for you. You see? The other man, Jesus pretty much put him in a position to get eternal life, but he sent him back out there. Then Jesus told him, see how that man, you're going to go in front of the synagogue. You're going to go in front of the assembly. You're going to go in front of the courts. That blind man went in front of all those people, and he kept on giving the testimony of what Jesus did for him in his life. He even told him, maybe y'all should be his disciples, because y'all ain't doing what he's doing. Now, what that man was doing, that man, they kept on, they brought the man parents up there, they did everything they could to destroy this man's testimony. But that man held on to that seed. He ain't let it go. He held on to that seed, because sometimes we have to be blind to see God. Sometimes we got to cut the lights off in the physical just to see God. That's why, you know, God always say he talked to people in what? Visions and dreams. Why? Because when a person dreaming, when a person dreams, they shutting the flesh down. That's when a person go and close their eyes, let the flesh sleeps. While the flesh sleeps, the spirit is still going. People say, well, the mind's still active. The spirit is still going. Spirit don't sleep. So God is able to contact people in that realm. When a person is sitting there idly, God attacked that spirit right there. You'd be in a vision. That flesh don't even see what's going on. You just tuned into this vision. Those are the things that God was using with people. What happens? You were blind to the flesh. The flesh was cut off at that point. And when it was cut off at that point, the spirit was able to be able to deal with God and be able to be contacted by God the way it needed to be able to see what God sees for that a little bit. Now, we're going to go into this. We're in Genesis chapter 13, verse 8. Abraham said to Lot, please, let there be no strife between me and you. Now, why is this happening? Because just say this strife went on for some years. Now, Abraham got to deal with greed. I brought him with me. Now he's seen the way God is multiplying. And what is he doing? It's greed going on here. There's not enough land for both of us. The point is that why should there be enough land? Why do Lot don't want to worry about getting his stuff separated? Why he want his stuff caught with Abraham? Abraham is the reason why, God is the reason why using Abraham, the reason why you multiply. But no. See, this show you the heart of life. Abraham said, please let there be no strife between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are relatives. See, he's trying to do the family thing, not just the godly thing. He's doing the family thing. We family, we shouldn't be fighting. This is foolish. So, watch what he tell him in verse 9. Is it the whole land before you? Please separate yourself from me. If you go to the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you go to the right hand, then I will go to the left. Now, notice that the land is right there. It's sun there for Abraham. Abraham came for the land. Now, this land is all this happened because of Abraham, because God done it with Abraham. Now, if somebody invited you to something, then this is the perfect example of greed. Jesus got a parable that he talks about when he tells you a story of if someone invites you to a wedding. See, somebody invites you to a wedding, and they say, hey, come to this wedding. And I'm going to show you where Jesus get this from. Now, Jesus was using this parable. He was saying a story that if someone invites you to a wedding, once you come to the wedding banquet, whatever, and they invite you there, when you go into the place, you don't take a seat at the front. You don't take a seat at the front of the place or where someone else, because if you take a seat at the front, when someone comes and say, hey, why are you sitting there? Somebody else is supposed to be highly honored. There's someone that's higher than you supposed to come. They're supposed to sit there. He say, do not do that. He say, what? Take a seat in the back or somewhere else. So when someone come to you, they will say, hey, why are you way back here? And therefore, they will put you higher up and you will be honored because you get to sit at the table with everyone else. Now, Jesus said this parable because he said this. He said, he that exalt himself means he that praise himself. He will be humbled. He will be humbled. And he that humble himself will be exalted. Now you notice Abraham is humbling himself, saying, take whatever you need. What is Lot doing? Lot is being greedy. It say Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that were well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed. This is before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like the garden. They say it was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. So Lot chose the plain of the Jordan for himself. Lot traveled east, and there he separated themselves, the one from another. Abraham lived in Canaan, and Lot lived in the city of the plains, moved his tent into Sodom. Now, what I want you to see is that he picked the best land. He said, I want the best. I'm exalting myself. Now, Jesus said, he that exalted himself will be humble. Now, what happened to Lot when he did that? A little bit later, Lot get what? He getting terrorized, getting kidnapped. All his land is being gone. Lot never had no peace in that place. His land was gone. After that, Abraham gets him back. And then he go back to the place, and then God them come and destroy the whole place. See, he's being humbled now. He thought he was living on a hall, and that land ended up being a curse to him. Now, Abraham got to go to the land that ain't got no water, ain't all well watered. And you know what? Abraham ain't have no enemy at all come to attack him or bother him. He was safe in the land because he was being exalted. He was more rich than everyone. And by being humble, what happened? Abraham humbled himself. Therefore, he got the land, and he got the victory to go and get the land, to go get Lot back. Now, he exalted. He's known from among everyone that, you know what, Abraham took on 5 kings. You don't mess with him. He's so rich than more than us, he need to depart from us. He's too big. But what is Lot getting? Lot is getting heartache. You get kidnapped, you got broke down to pieces, then you got God and them sending angels down there to destroy the whole place that you thought you was making a business in a market. Now you running out to the woods, you running out to the middle of nowhere with your daughter's raping you in the middle of nowhere, and all the stuff that you gained for all them years of greed, you got nothing, living in some mountains. Getting raped by your own daughters. He been brought low. If a man ain't been brought lower than that, he's been brought low. While Abraham is being what? Exalted. He's been praised high. God put him in that position. This is why Jesus said that. See, you have to guard what God says. Lot was greedy here. Now, I'm going to show you something how God do things. God didn't want Lot there because Lot had the wrong kind of heart. And when people got the wrong kind of heart, he's trying to extort the gospel. He's trying to extort the seed. Meaning that he don't want the seed of God. What Lot wants is the benefits of someone having the seeds of God. And there's people like that. See, it's people, they don't want God. They just want the benefits. So when the ministers of them come out there, these crooked ministers, saying, oh yeah, give me 500 and you'll get this. See, them places are packed. They are packed. Because they don't want the seed. They don't want Jesus. They don't want to hold and guard his commandments. They don't want to do that. What they want is, they want the money. They want to see, what can I get from that? Quick rich schemes. Solomon tell you, ain't no get rich quick schemes here. They don't understand this. They're going and they're doing this. The ministers keep promoting this money. Oh, if I got 1 or 2. I see ministers like they from the past hour, they talking about money. They so greedy. Sit up there, oh Lord have mercy. I mean, just that much in greed. Unbelievable. Now, look what it says. Then the Lord said to Abraham, after Lot left. Now, Lot left. Lot gone bye-bye. Now, you notice that every time that something happened, God kind of goes away because it's hard for God, the Holy Spirit, to deal with strife. He's not going to be in a situation with all this going on. So, it say, now, after that happened, went for years. It said, the Lord said to Abraham after Lot was separated from him, now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, westward. For all the land which you see, I will give to you and to the offspring forever. Now, here's God telling you, look north, south, east, west. What do that makes? That makes a cross. That makes a cross. That makes a cross. You go north, south, east, west. That's a cross. God told him this. He said, listen, look from the place where you are northwards and southwards, eastward, westward. That makes a cross. For all the land which you see, I will give to you and to your offspring forever. That cross is forever. That, I don't know if you noticed, but in the stars is the cross. So look, north, south, east, west. The cross. That's what that is. And I will give you that land that the seed is going to come back and rule. That land, that New Jerusalem, that bride, I'm going to give you that forever. See, there's more going on here than this story. And that's what we're taking you to. There's more going on than that story. Now you notice that God waited for Lot to leave. See, I got him out of here. This greedy little guy who keep causing strife here. How Abraham gonna guard, protect what I'm trying to do when he got all this strife going on here? That got to get him out of there, get away from you. Now, what God telling Abraham, I'm telling him a little bit more. Let me tell you a little more about that seed. Now lift up, now notice God told him this. Now he's talking about the stars. Now lift up your eyes. Now think about it, lift up your eyes. Look up to the sky, lift up your head. Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, north and south, east, west, across. I will give you this forever. I will give this to you and your offspring, not with an S, but one, forever. I will make your offspring as the dust, not dust, but a dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then your seed, once again, seed, may also be numbered. Now that's that word numbered again in the Hebrew version. Numbered mean listed. So where if a man can do that, so where you can be what? Listed. It's the same thing. It's all about the seed. Jesus is the inheritance. That's the whole thing. He's the inheritance. That's the point, the seed. Then God told him this also. See, you got to guard this. God told him also this. Arise and walk through the land and, now let's arise and walk through the land in its length and in its breadth, for I will give it to you. Now you got to listen to that now. He say, arise and walk. How do we walk? By faith. Walk through the land in the length and the breadth, for I will give it to you. Now, what is the land? The land is a seed. Now, arise and walk. Walk means have faith. Arise and have faith. Why? Because if you can have faith enough to walk through the length and the breadth and the height, Paul even have a prayer about this. The length, the breadth, the height, the depth. Arise and walk through the land in the length and the breadth, for I will give it to you. You walk by faith. Have faith and walk. Have faith and walk through the seed. Walk with the seed. Or another way of saying have faith in the seed. Okay, now, this is such a powerful promise that God is giving Abraham. God is telling him, you got to walk with the seed. Whoa. You don't have to, listen, you go rise and walk through the seed. See, you got to walk through the land. You got to have faith in the land. If you do this, I give it to you. See, this is Jesus here. If you can't walk with Jesus, Jesus say, follow him. How can I follow him? I have to give up the flesh. If I can't give up the flesh, even hate myself. If I can't guard what he's saying, if I can do this, what is he saying? You will get the land. But see, a lot of times we don't understand. Jesus is telling you, got to listen, I'm commanding you to give up the flesh. That's a commandment. He telling you another thing that's a commandment of God. If you do not humble yourself as a child, you will not enter the kingdom. Commandment. Boom. Stamp. Boom. Decreed. I must humble myself, because if I don't humble myself, I can't even get through I can't even talk. I can't have the conversation. Like I said, can you get to the gate? I can't even get to the road if I don't humble myself. I have to start guarding these commandments. So when somebody say, man, you humble yourself, you need to do what you want. No, you speaking of things of the devil. I can't do what I want. I do what God say. If God don't say it, I won't say it. That's what you have to be. That's what you call guarding and protecting the word. God say the job of a priest was to guard and protect the word of God. To hold it and protect it. So when he speak the word of God, what God say, and people say, that's not true, I want to do it my way. No, this is what God say, you're going to do it. I'm walking, I'm going to protect it, and I'm telling you, this is what it is. I'm taking a stand, this is what it is. You can go listen to those fake gods or whatever you want. But right here, this is who I am, and this is what I'm speaking. This is what God wanted for us to do. So Abraham found himself getting out of the situation with Lot. But the problem was, he got out of it with Lot. But he got a problem here that's happening. Is that he didn't let years pass. And it was hard for him to guard certain things. So now God couldn't talk to him for a minute. So once Lot gone, now God comes back. Now here we go again at this. Now we go to Genesis 16. Now Sarah, and Abraham's wife, bore him no children. She said, now this is what I'm trying to say. You got to pay attention, because people can change what you believe. Now God told Abraham that he's going to give him a seed. Abraham laughed. At this point, God told Abraham told God, he said, I don't care what I do, what you give me, I don't care about the blessings. I want the seed. God said, I'm going to give you the seed. Now, what happened when God said this? Now, Lot was a problem that was around him. Now, here comes Sarah, his own wife, next to him. Now, she's beginning to be a problem. Now, her whole thing is, I got to change Abraham's mindset. Now, remind you, Abraham at this time, 80-some years old. Sarah been with him since they was 12. All the time, their people, one thing about Israel people, their people here, I'm not going to say Israel, but their people here, the Hebrew people, one thing that they did, they had this thing that went along in their family, that when they can have kids, they had surrogates. And what they would do is that the woman would sit on top of the other woman's lap while she gives the baby, and the pregnant woman would sit on her lap, and then it looked like she gave birth, and it's her baby. So the question is that why did Sarah did not offer this to Abraham all these years? All these years, Sarah would not offer that to Abraham. Why? Because Sarah was a woman that Abraham let do what she want, I believe, to a certain degree. And the Bible shows you when a man have a woman that he listens to the woman more than he listened to God. It shows you this all through the scriptures. Adam listened to Eve. He hearkened to her voice. So therefore, he just hearkened to her voice on something like, think about it, something that is important to you. Do you want to eat this? That's important. And for him to take her advice with something, listen, you ain't going to take nobody's advice with something important if you ain't going to take it with something little. So my thing is, if Abraham got this big decision here, God told him, I'm going to give you this seed, and then you're looking forward to a child coming, a descendant, and have a child, in his mind, he don't believe in any way. He don't believe that God can actually do this. Not with Sarah. God told him, it's going to come from your body. Some old translations say your bowels, mean your body. A woman and man together, one flesh. It don't make no difference. It's one flesh. It don't make a difference if actually the whole thing is a man and a woman together going to make one flesh, so they one unit. Therefore, they become one body. Abraham was not one body with Hilgah. Hilgah wasn't his wife at this point. Abraham didn't see that. Why? Because he's not guarding, protecting the word of God. The word of God said this. It's in the stars. God told Abraham who he is. Abraham not guarding and protecting this. God told him what I'm going to do for you. He don't want to listen. God told him I'm going to have him do Sarah. He don't want to listen. He don't want to listen to that he's saying. Because he's still fighting with certain things. Now, here comes Sarah. Now, Sarah finna help Abraham out in her mind. Now, Sarah, Abraham's wife, bore him no children. She had a handmaid Egyptian whose name was Hagar. Sarah said to Abraham, see. Now, notice that word, they always, every time in the Bible you see see, they always either underline it or they pull it out. Put parentheses around it or whatever, because they want you to really pay attention to that. That word see means believe. So Sarah's telling Abraham to believe. See, now the Lord has restrained me from bearing. Now she's blaming the God. She's saying, God is keeping me from having kids. Please go into my handmaid. It may be that I was, she said, go into my handmaid. I will obtain children by her. Now, she have to make, now why did she tell Abraham this? See, because Abraham told her, they don't say this, but I'm sure, he told her that God said we're going to have a baby. She don't want to believe it. She said, see. Now the Lord, mean who the Lord? Your God. Your God. He has kept me from having kids. So go into my handmaid Hagar. Now the thing is, why would she do that now and she didn't been do it? She didn't been do it because she been selfish. I'm not letting my husband have no other woman. I'm not doing that. But all of a sudden now when God say, I'm trying to tell you this is how it works. All of a sudden God say, Abraham, this is going to happen. Now since God spoke it, now here comes Sarah. I'm not going to be selfish about that no more. Now I'm going to let you have it this way. It took you, what, 70-some years to say I'm not going to be selfish? Unbelievable. Now, was it selfish and pride there? Of course it is. We're going to get into that. Now, Sarah said, Abraham, see that your God, he kept me from having kids. So you're going to have to listen to me. I want you to believe this. She said, believe. The Lord has restrained me. Believe this. So she got to get him to believe something different. Abraham said, he listened to her. It said Abraham listened to her voice of Sarah. Why? Because when God told Abraham this, he didn't believe him. So it's easy for him to believe that's not going to happen. And so when Sarah bring him another woman, he thinking, oh, I can believe another woman to do it. I don't believe Sarah can. See, it's quicker for him to believe this. Then it says Sarah, Abraham's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her handmaid, after Abraham had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abraham, her husband, to be his wife. Key point. People don't get this. Hagar was Abraham's wife. Everybody, she was his wife. People keep thinking, oh, she was just, no. It tells you right here. Give her to Abraham, her husband, to be his wife. I done seen other translations that ruin it and say as a wife. Everybody debate as Hagar was just a concubine. No. She was his wife. She was his wife. The way God see it, once you go lay down with a woman or a man, a woman lay with a man, that's you became one flesh. You're married. This is why Isaac took Rebekah. They didn't have no ceremony. They didn't sign no marriage license. They went right back to the tent and they did this. And when they did this, they was married. That's why Paul say, you need to be careful. You go lay down with a prostitute, you become one flesh with her. You become married. God even also said this to confirm this when he told a person when they take two wives, he say if you have a slave and you take another wife, or you take her as a wife, if you don't treat her the way you treat the other wife, she's free to go free. What happened to Hagar? Abraham wasn't treating her the way he treated Sarah. So what happened? God told him to do what? Let her go free. The same thing. See, it's all you see. They don't want ministers want to preach this because they don't want to scare the people. But I'm going to put fear in you because I'm letting you know when you lay down with a woman that you ain't married to, you're married to her. And Jesus told you what happens when you divorce a woman and leave her alone. See, this is how powerful that really is. When a man lay down with a woman, I met a woman, I lay down with her the next day. I'm not calling, I'm going about my business. He became one flesh with that woman that's who already been one flesh with a whole bunch of other men, and he been one flesh. They've been committing adultery. Jesus said, if you commit adultery in your mind, it's over with. Because what your mind thinking, once you accept it, is you're going to do it anyway. Some form of fashion, you're going to do it. If you're going to go masturbate about it, watch pornography about it, whatever you're going to do, you're going to still do it. But once you do it in your mind, it's adultery. Jesus told you this: if you married a woman and try to put her away and marry someone else. So if I go sleep with a woman and then say, I don't want you, I'm going to sleep with another one. I am considered in the eyes of God, you are marrying that person. See, men are creating wedding vows. See, man makes wedding vows. Man makes, think about it, write your own vows. You got to go and get a license. See, they didn't came up with this stuff, so you will look at that and think that was what it was. But when they got married back then with Jacob, what did Jacob do when he took Rachel? When he went in there and he married, he didn't go in there and marry her. What he did was this: he said, my 7 years up, give me one wife so I can go lay with her. Why do you think that we have this whole thing of that you can marry a person as long as you don't consummate the marriage? What does consummate mean? Having sex with the person so you can consummate it. With no sex, no consummate, no married. That's how serious that is. A lot of us right now, they have a history of past. We have 50, 60, 100 people back there that we've been committing adultery with. We got the person we started out with, that's the person we married to. And then we will put 50 more people on top of 100 people. And we've been leaving these people. This is how serious this is. Ministers don't want to preach this. They don't want to preach this. I'm preaching it because this is the word of God and this is the spirit of God. And it needs to be preached. See, people need to know when they go lay down with someone, in the eyes of God, you are marrying this person. So when Abraham went lay down with Hagar, it's your wife now. And if you're going to treat her not good as the other one, you have to let her go. But you just can't put her away for anything. You see? You just can't put her away. That's what Jesus is saying. You just can't put her away. You just can't marry her and say, you can't sleep with her and do what you want for her for a couple of months and say, I don't want you no more, and throw you into the trash. Can't do it. But we see marriages, I got to go down here and sign a paper. And the law say, I can't sign no more papers. Or I got to go sign a paper. If I'm already married, I can't sign no more. That's what the law says. So we think the law is protecting us from God when this law is against God. God also say you should make a law that we should help all the poor people. It should be no such thing as orphans because we should be adopting these kids and taking it up. See, that should be a law that should be made. It was a law with the Church of Israel to help the orphans. See, all this stuff was laws back then. We don't follow those laws. We just took the ones that benefit us. We don't want nobody robbing. We don't want nobody stealing. It's up to us to guard this, to protect it. And I'm saying to everyone out there, when you go lay down with a woman, you are marrying that woman. It's guys who sit there and say, I don't believe in multiple marriage. Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you got a wife right now, and you tell me you're a Christian, you got a wife right now, and you out there cheating with another woman, then when you slept with that woman, that's your second wife, dude. Hope you're happy. That's the way God see it. That's your second wife. That's your second wife. Or you committing adultery. However you want to look at it. You're going to commit adultery because you're going to put her away to stay with the first one. Or you're going to put the first one away to stay with that one. People don't want to look at that. That became your wife. Can't just go lay with a woman. Don't you know what happened when they had concubines? They went, see, concubine was a wife. If you go sleep with her, you know what they had to do? Sleep with her, and then they had to marry her. Because when they slept with her, she's married to them in the eyes of God. And therefore, they had to take care of the concubine. Pay all the bills, take care of everything she needed. A lot of them concubines had all the stuff the wife had. They had, look at Solomon. Solomon was building houses for a lot of them wives. He was giving them all kind of stuff. Abraham gave his concubine, he said he was giving all these gifts and all this stuff. Oh yes, that's your wives. You sleep with her, you bought her. This is the way God and them looked at it. Don't you know you had to pay a dowry when you slept with a virgin? So you got to look at the Bible. When you went and slept with a woman that you weren't married to, you had to pay what they call a dowry. If I'm saying it correct, a dowry. That means you got to pay a price for her now because you just bought her. Then either you can marry her now or pay the dowry. You're already married to her. You got to pay the dowry to get out of it now. That's what you're looking at. See, God looked at it when you slept with someone, you was married to that person. You was joined in one flesh, boom, case closed. When those guys like Jacob, he took Leah and now slept with her. Oh, it's your wife now. He didn't want it, but it was his wife. Then what did he do with Rachel? Oh, well, go in there with Rachel. Sleep with her. Now she's my wife. Isaac had Rebecca. They come in there. He just took Rebecca. They say, soon when the servant brought her back, he seen her and said, oh, I like her. Grab her hand, let's go into the tent. Ain't no ceremony. That stuff man do. Do you take her? You take her. God, see, when the body connected, you two connected as one flesh, y'all are married. God don't go on the laws of man. This is why man's supposed to guard and protect it. Jesus not die for you to run around and sleep with everybody and think that you will commit adultery. Jesus even told you something more serious. If you think this is already adultery, and if you go put one away, you think you can marry one and put one away, is adultery. And whoever would take that woman and say, well, you don't want her no more, you just threw her away, I'll take her, you commit adultery. People have been doing this all these years. People do it all these years, and we do it like it is just openly. It doesn't matter, you know. People talk about, oh, he'll never get married. He just out doing what he wants. He's out marrying women all the time. Making babies and marrying all the time, and there's nothing. People say, oh, he a player, man. He's somebody special. He's somebody that committed adultery. He's somebody that leaving wife after wife after wife. And if she already laid down with other people, all she did was make husband after husband after husband. Jesus told that one woman, you have 5 of them. And the one you got now ain't one. See, you run around there sleeping with everything in the world. And you ain't paying attention because you're not guarding the commandments. You're not guarding the commandments. You're not guarding the commandments of stuff. You know, you have people who get married without papers. They have countries that, you know what, they get married, there ain't no papers. They just get married. You know, they just say to whatever they do, they get married. You have the Mormons. Mormons have more than one wife. There's no way you can live in this country, Mormons and Muslims, that they have more than one wife and they can sign papers. They only can sign paper for one. But they have these ceremonies where they doing it. When he go lay down with that woman, boom, that's your wife. And if he don't, he just keep one wife and go sleep around with hookers. Paul told you, don't you know becoming one flesh with her? See, not that you just slept with her, that was all. Don't you know you becoming one flesh with her? Don't you know you're marrying her? But you're throwing her away. You say, I don't want you no more. I'll go with somebody else. I know this is going to offend a lot of people, but as I'm trying to tell you, you have to look at this. This is how serious this is. People think this is not sin. I can sleep with my husband and go to the neighbor house. You are doing what you're doing is wrong. You got to get out of it. And this is what we need to do. We need to guard and protect the laws. Now, I'm going to have to go into, this is what part 4, if I'm not mistaken. And so we got to go into a part 5 here so I can finish this. Well, I'm nowhere near finishing it. Well, yeah, I'm almost. Because in part 5, I'm going to finish off this series of it. We're going to finish off Abraham and everything else. And after that, we're going to go into, from that series, then we're going to go into what people eating. Like how people can speak things all in your face and your mind and everything to cause you to speak what they speak. How that affect you and it leads you into sin. This is Courtney Jones, and I'm out.